welcome to the project. Before we start painting and dumping out things, I just want to make sure you have access to your PDFs. They came as attachments in this same email, so maybe just make sure you have those. You'll have two attachments. One is this PDF, which is my hamburger layering system. We're going to be going step by exact step. I'm going to walk you through all the steps, so make sure you have that printed out. And I also give you a traceable, so I don't expect any of my mixed media students to know how to draw at all. So I would just give you things that you can trace. I am a drawer as well, so I draw them, you can trace them, so you don't have to worry. So I just want to make sure you have this printout so you can trace her too. And so usually that requires you to also have some transfer paper around, or you can use a window actually. If you hold up 2 sheets of paper, if you hold up the traceable on top and put your, put the traceable on the bottom, and then if you hold a piece of paper on the top and go up to a window, you can trace it right onto a piece of cardstock or watercolor paper. These palettes are really easily, readily available online, Amazon. All the links to everything are in the email for you. But you can also just do this in an art journal. You could do this on a regular canvas or a canvas board. Anything is fine. This is a real paintbrush, so that's super fun. I'm just using assorted scrapbooking papers. So grab any, I like to grab 3 colors that kind of go together, and I'll talk about that more in a second when we get started. So scrapbooking paper, you need some sort of glue to glue the scrap paper on. I'm using matte medium. You can also use Mod Podge. You can use any acrylic medium gel or liquid. Any kind of clear PVC glue would be fine. And then you'll just need some acrylic paints that match the scrapbooking paper underneath. So I'm sure you have some acrylic paints. What else do we need? I used Tombow markers to color her in, which are like a watercolor marker, but you can use anything you want, to be honest. You could use colored pencils, you could use regular acrylic paints, you can be creative, you can do whatever. You can use Pitt pens or paint pens, whatever your favorite medium is. For the girl, you can absolutely use whatever you like. Inks, anything. I do use watercolor markers, which then would bleed if I'm like, I have to seal this all. I use Mod Podge to seal everything together, which is again the same, equally the same as like a clear PVC glue. But I do spray her with a spray sealer. So that might be the only item in your arsenal you might not have. That's something that some people don't have. So just keep that in mind. If you don't have a spray sealer, and the reason I spray her is that way when I'm gluing her on top, all this color from the marker doesn't bleed everywhere. So it just kind of like fixes her in place. So if you don't have a kind of sealer like that, that's fine. Just use something permanent to color her in with. You could use crayons, again, colored pencils, a permanent marker. That's the only kind of like weird product I would say. But yeah, glue, paint, scrapbooking papers, and a cool palette, and maybe an old paintbrush. You could also paint a paintbrush if you wanted to, but that's all the supplies that we are going to be needing. I don't like my handwriting, that's why I stamp this. So you are welcome to stamp along with me, or you can just write yours on in with a paint pen if you want to. So, all right, ready? Let's get started. We are going to just do this step by step, so you don't have to think too hard. You just have to follow me. I'm really excited. This is so weird. I've actually done a number of projects on palettes, and I've never done a lesson with one, so I'm really excited. These wooden palettes are very affordable, and they're also really widely available, and I'm so excited to bring this to you. Now we're going to be doing my favorite method of mixed media today, which is my hamburger method. So this is a very specific, straightforward layering process that's a ton of fun, and it gives really, really great results. So you have this available to you in your classroom, so print it out or bring it up, and we're going to be following along right from layer 1, which is collage and adhesive. So this is my, favorite way. So yeah, very excited. However, before we get started on the layer 1 in the background, we need to do a little bit of a prep first. This step can actually be done at any time, but I'm gonna start with it because it just helps to inspire me, and it's just kind of like part of gathering your supplies when you're getting started on a project. And that is taking this girl that I've drawn and transferring it onto a piece of watercolor paper so that we can have her on the appropriate surface to be working on. So watercolor paper is awesome. You can do anything to watercolor paper. You can do any mixed media, any art supply, with the exception of alcohol markers, but I do not recommend using alcohol markers in any mixed media project. So I'm not talking about that here, but any wet or dry media other than alcohol markers, you can do on watercolor paper. So I like watercolor paper because it leaves the opportunity open for us to use anything. Yes, we like that in mixed media. That's what we want. So to transfer this, I drew her on a regular piece of paper. You have this in the classroom, so you can go ahead and download this out and just follow me right now. We're gonna transfer her onto this piece of watercolor paper. If you don't have watercolor paper, you can do her on dry, just regular dry paper, or just print this out. But you need something more substantial when you're working in mixed media. So even if it's that Bristol or cardstock, something with a little weight to it is really important, even if you're not using watercolor paper, because we're gonna be gluing her on. And if you try to glue this piece of paper onto something painted, it will get wrinkly. It's just like back to kindergarten class. You get the bumpy, wrinkle, ugly, yuck, not good. So paper is super important. It's as important, sometimes it's more important than the materials that you're even using on top. I like to use carbon transfer paper because it's really, really dark. There's graphite transfer paper too. You can even get transfer paper that's white. So if this was if I was transferring this onto a black background, you would use white transfer paper. It works super awesome. It comes in a couple of different colors as well. And there is a graphite edition, which is also nice because it's erasable. This is carbon transfer paper and it's not erasable, but I like that again because it's so dark. And we're going to be coloring her in also, so I don't mind if there's some extra dark marks. I think it will kind of just get blended in with all the artsy fartsy stuff that we're going to be doing on top. So the first thing I'm going to do is put my transfer paper face down. You can also use a light table. You can also hold this up to a window. There's many different ways that you can transfer an image onto a different piece of paper. I actually have a whole video, which I will drop here in the classroom for you too, that I did on YouTube, which shows you different ways that you can transfer. But this one is my favorite way. So I just took my drawing. I'm taking a sharp drawing instrument. So this is just a pen. And I'm just going to, this is actually supposed to be her ear. This is also a great place if you wanted to, let's say we wanted to change, say I wanted to change like her hair or something. I wanted to give her like a ponytail. You can do that during this process. It's just a tried and true way to get one idea onto, again, any paper of your choice. So, just going to be pushing down pretty hard. And then if you want to check, just make sure you, see how solid that is? That's what I love. Graphite paper is, you have to, it doesn't give quite that lovely, dark transfer. I've used this girl in another mixed media project, which is awesome. I actually don't have it, I gifted it to someone, but if you ever become a member of my Mixed Media Society, you'll see her again. But she's not holding a paintbrush in this other project. She's holding a gigantic martini glass. So I don't expect my mixed media students to know how to draw. Something people just don't want to fuss with it. So I love drawing, so I will be happy to share my my traceables with you so you can get right on to the fun part of painting. Not a problem. We'll give her a little pocket. Here's her arm, kind of continuing over there. I also decided after I drew this paintbrush, I'm going to, are you ready for this? I'm gonna actually use a real paintbrush. So I'm gonna just have her hand, I'm gonna just do some knuckles at the top and then kind of leave it because we're gonna have the paintbrush there instead. So the hand, we can kind of just, the hand is gonna be really just hidden by the paintbrush itself. Also, in the original drawing with the martini glass, she's wearing big giant bell bottoms. So if you want to make her, you know, she can be wearing a skirt. You can change things up any way you want to at this stage. You can make her wearing bell bottoms. I decided to give her little rolly pants. You can make her juicy. She doesn't have to be so skinny. You can, but it's nice to have a starting point. Okay, so let me just peek in here, make sure I got it all. And yes, I think I did. And again, I'm gonna use a real paintbrush. So how does she come out? She came out pretty well. It doesn't matter actually about, we're actually gonna cut her out. So it doesn't matter if there's futz anywhere else on your paper. We are going to, like I said, cut her out, but we're gonna color her in first before we cut her out. But this is step one, is just getting her transferred so that we can kind of deal with her later. Just wanted to get that out of the way. And now I'm just gonna put this to the side and we're gonna get going on the background. My favorite adhesive to use, well, my favorite backgrounds are just for this hamburger system, and a lot of my mixed media projects are collage. And my favorite collage adhesive is to use matte medium, but any medium has the word medium in it, has adhesive qualities. So you can use gel medium, you can use, and the gels and the liquid mediums also come in, see, it's fluid. Excuse me, fluid is the right term. There's a lot of alternatives that you can use. You can also use Mod Podge. You can use glue, anything that dries completely clear. So you want to see the papers through it. But this is just my favorite one, so I'm just sharing it with you. And then it's time to pick out some papers. You can use any scrapbooking paper, is so great. I haven't really decided on the flavor or the flair of the paper that I would like to use yet, actually. So what I usually do is I get eyeballs on different papers first, and then I kind of sit with it for a minute and decide, like, because this will determine the exact colors that I use. I will literally go and pick paint colors that are these exact colors, so it is all nice and matchy-matchy. It's just a guaranteed way to have color matching success. So I'm gonna leaf through my other scrapbooking papers. I have an embarrassingly large stash, and see what I'm in the mood for. So I recommend going, and what's nice too is, like, you can, if you have you can flip through a pad, and you just need enough paper that when it's torn up is gonna cover the size of the palette. And if you want to, you don't have to use scrapbooking paper. I just like it because I like the color that infuses into your artwork automatically, and it also helps you with color choices. You can use anything paper. You can use old dictionary papers. You can use a phone book. You can use any old book paper, which gives it a nice kind of rustic vintage feel. So I want you to dive into your mixed media stash, get creative, and meet me back at your art table with your colors, your papers, and then we're gonna start to rip, and then we're gonna start to adhere them with our chosen glue of choice, okay? I'll meet you back here. I like to pick papers that I'm just match my mood for the day. I'm feeling pretty chill. I have to say, I'm not feeling overly energetic. I'm just kind of in a chill space. So I'm choosing papers that kind of make me feel a little bit chill. And actually, I don't think I wanted this one. And I want my girl to stand out. So that means I want the background to be a little bit more subdued. Now, that being said, there's a lot of ways that you can subdue a loud background. So if you're feeling loud and proud, this project 1,000,000% still works for you. And you can absolutely use two super bright brash colors. You could do all fluorescents. There's no way that this doesn't work. The only thing that might take away is if your kind of colors or papers don't really go well together. So these are all kind of this kind of beigey, but again, I want to make my girl really pop out. So, and I will also show you, if you are choosing a really, really, really colorful color for background, I will also show you how you can knock them back so you can not take away from the girl. I've never collaged on a palette before. I'm very excited. So as you can see, I'm just ripping up these pieces into smaller pieces. If this was a square, larger surface, I would do larger pieces. I usually aim to about palm. I'm doing these a little bit smaller than my palm because this surface is just not as big. And there's also all these little undulating corners and whatnot that I think what I'm going to do is just trim them at the end with scissors. So I'm going to kind of go outside, let it dry, and then I'll just go around and kind of trim them because I want to preserve the shape because I think the shape is so super cool. So I just love the gentle vibe that these colors are giving off today. Usually I am a super energetic person, so it's really common for me to choose very loud and brash colors, but yeah, I'm just not feeling it today. But so I always kind of respect my mood. And I don't really question it because again, this can work with any color palette. There's no right or wrong answer. So once you have kind of a mess, you think you have enough, you're good. I don't like to rip when my hands are wet, and they are gonna be really wet. That's why I'm ripping them in advance. It's hard to rip when you have sticky fingers. So I'm gonna plan on gluing these down like in a random arrangement, kind of taking turns. I'm not gonna have a whole cluster of flower ones and a cluster. I'm gonna kind of spread them out evenly. And I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna orient her this way. There's actually also, she will fit any way. She'll fit this way. She would fit in any direction. So, oh, that would be cute too. If like the hole was down here. And then what I'm gonna do is take a paintbrush. I haven't picked my paintbrush yet that I'm gonna use. And she's going to be wielding it. I actually like it down this way better. I was originally thinking it would be like up here. I guess it depends if this is your, I don't actually use a palette, so I don't know which way is up and which way is down. This is certainly not going to be used for that. So I don't think it matters. I think you hold it like this. Oh, it feels actually really nice. So let's go this way. But it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. I'll kind of go this way. Okay, you gotta have a plan, a little bit of a plan. So I'm just going to use a foam brush to apply this, and I'm just going to go directly onto the wood. Now, the biggest tip I can give you for collaging, remember this is layer 1 of the hamburger method, is you cannot have enough glue. You cannot use enough glue. It's the only reason that you would get like wrinkles and bubbles and things is that if you're not gluing enough. So you put glue under and over on top. Okay, we like there's a fuzzy. We fully saturate things when we are gluing and you will have success. Now this is wood and it's really porous. So we're gonna have to use more than we normally would on a canvas. So even this might not even be enough. And it would not be the worst thing if I actually put down a layer of this stuff first and either let it dry or did not let it dry. But really, we need like a barrier so that the wood is going to adhere to our pages or vice versa. So I'm going to put down a layer first, and then I'm going to put down another layer to glue. Yes, glue is your best friend. There's not really any orientation to these. I do have to say, if there's anything kind of scripty like this, I do keep it horizontal. For some reason it bothers me if it's crooked. That's about as OCD as I get. Anything else I'm pretty down with. So as you can see, I'm alternating and putting down gobs and gobs. But this is a great beginner way to begin any project. It's such a healthy warm-up. Like, it's kind of getting my creative juices flowing. This doesn't require any skill on my part. I don't know why I said port so strangely. So it's like a great way to begin. And I think that's why I start so many of my projects this way. And it also gives me time to kind of think about where I'm going with the project. I'll be like, all right, after this is done, I'll get my paints out. We already kind of know the direction of the girl. And it just kind of gets my brain focused in the right direction. If you know me from YouTube, people kind of come into my world all lots of different ways. I don't usually do a lot of real-time tutorials on YouTube because people don't have the attention span on, or they go to YouTube just to kind of catch the gist or the drift of something. In my art school, I don't do that. Everything is in real time. So you can always have, obviously, the option to mute me, fast forward me, use as much or little as you want, but I don't speed through anything, because I want to make sure if you want all the information, you have all the information for sure. Oh, a little juicy blurb there. Let's see, I'm going to let this one kind of line up with the edges. Yep. Again, we're going to spread this around. So yeah, if this gets boring to you, definitely feel free to take advantage of that mute button. Or you can even just fast forward to the end. Catch the end, see what it looks like, or you can hear me chitter chatter my way through. But the biggest thing again is, oh, see, that one is too close to this one. You really want to spread them out. And you might also notice, I just actually apply the adhesive directly to the surface. Also, be really firm with your finger. Your fingers are the best bubble detectors. So I always am kind of combing over everything with my fingers. My fingers, some people do a credit card, but I can't feel anything through a credit card. Only my credit card feels what's going on in my credit card. So I never use a credit card for this part. I always use my fingers because I can really feel if there's a bubble there. And because a lot of times you can't see them, you can only feel them. So make sure you're getting those bubbles out. They like to especially rear their heads if you don't have enough adhesive down. And as you notice, I am putting adhesive down every single paper that I put down. Let's put some over here. So under, over, smooth out with your fingers. And in no time, I don't have a lot of this flowery stuff around. I say that and then there's some right there. Sometimes you can, if there's little pockets like this, you can bring in a fourth paper. So anywhere between 3 and 5 papers is good. 2, it's kind of sometimes not enough, like visual variation. We'll see all these bubbles are starting to form. That means I didn't have enough glue in there. I'm going to push down really hard and make sure I get them out. A wrinkle is okay, a bubble is danger. Okay, so make sure you really just use the pressure of your finger. Right here, there's one. It's usually always because there's not enough glue or there's too much glue, so you gotta really feel them out with your fingers and then mash them down. Oop. I think I'm going to take like an X-Acto knife and kind of like chip away at this little spot here. Keep it going. We need one of these flower pieces. Whoop. And again, I'm not like super fussy about these areas. Oh, I do like my script horizontal though. And I love that there's white here because it makes a separation between these two spots. I think this one in the middle needs to be the red paper. So funny, I thought that the little flowers, I thought were actually blue, but actually now that I'm here up close, they're green. Fascinating, I didn't even realize that. All right, so round around we go till this whole thing is covered. And what we're gonna do after this, we're just gonna let it dry. I don't let anything dry overnight. I always just dry it with a hair dryer because I'm really not patient. So you can use a heat gun, you can use a hair dryer. I always just use a hair dryer because heat guns sometimes get too hot. Yeah, and then we're gonna pick out a paint color that matches one of the paints that are here. So this whole process takes about, you know, what has it been, 15 or 20 minutes, not too long. But this is the part you can put your music on, play your music, get loose. I'm not thinking at all hard about what anything even looks like right now. I'm just collaging my little heart out. And smoothing out those wrinkles. And again, I will even out the edges afterwards. All right, this is a little bit long. I'm gonna finish this up and I'll be right back and we'll pick out the paint. Okay, I decided to finish off camera because I just thought that was getting really, really boring. Again, a random distribution, kind of everything everywhere. Remember, this is just the background, so we don't even need to fuss with it that much. As you can see, there is, I did leave some areas exposed because we're gonna actually just fill in any awkward areas with acrylic paint. And so what I did is I just went over to my paint stash and I chose colors that were already appearing in these papers. And so that's what you will be doing as well. So there was a little green in the background. These are close to what is there. This red is a kind of a pinky red, which I thought I looked like this. So I'm not getting fancy. I'm not mixing colors. I literally am just picking like tubes of paint I already have. And because you're not going to be using the same papers as I am, I'm just showing you that you can do this same method for picking colors with any background paper that you're using whatsoever. So if this was my background paper, say, I would choose, I always choose a minimum of 3 colors, just like I choose a minimum of 3 papers. So I would use like the purple, I would have a blue, and I would have a green. Okay, like say this was a paper, I would choose like a red and then a green and then the blue. If this was my paper, I would choose like an orange, a blue. God, I love this napkin so much. You could choose any colors that are already there. So it doesn't matter what your papers are. These are napkins. Excuse me. It doesn't matter what your papers are. It's just choose colors for whatever are in your matching papers, okay? So I'm not even going to be painting right now. I just wanted to show you why and how I chose those colors. So this was just, again, I just completed that. This is all dry now, and then I'm going to put this aside and just focus on go back to our girl. Let's pretend this was still wet, and then while we're waiting for that to dry, let's go ahead back over and work on our girl. So we can color her in any way we want to. You can use pencils, you can use crayons, you can use markers, paint, whatever art supply floats your boat for small spaces, you can use here. I like using Tombows because, and I don't know if you're new to Tombows, they're like a watercolor brush pen. So they have 2 nibs, they have a really lovely brush nib, and then they have this little baby bullet nib in the back. And these are water soluble, meaning you can put them on dry and then take a little bit of water and they will blend out a little bit. So these are fun for skin tones. They have a skin tone set that I really like. I'm really lazy. Like when I want a color, I just try to buy colors out of a tube because I don't like wasting paint and wasting my time mixing. I just do it for fun, even though it is my profession. That is what gives me joy, is getting right to it right away. So I don't spend a lot of time futzing for the perfect color. Same thing with skin tones. If anybody makes a skin tone set, I just go ahead and grab it. So I don't have to spend hours like finding the perfect color. I'd rather just be making stuff. So with that being said, I swatched a couple of the skin tone colors out, and I also am choosing colors that match my papers. So again, Tombows are sold in sets. They're also sold individually. So I'm going to start with her skin, and then I'm going to use some others for her clothes. Now I want her to stand out, so I'll be using more of the solid colors so she kind of pops out off the background, but I'm still going to be using the same colors that are in the paper. So it's matchy, but there's enough contrast where she kind of jumps out at you. So again, using any art supply that you love, I'm going to color her in, and then we are going to cut her out from the paper, which is really boring, so I am not going to be showing that part. So I'm using this skin tone, and again, I did her on watercolor paper, knowing there was a chance I would be using watercolors, or I'm sorry, wet media to color her in. So you can't use these and water if you're working on dry paper, dry media paper. So paper is really important, but again, that's why I used watercolor paper for the girl. She doesn't actually have that much skin showing. So we have that, and then I do like to, which this one, that's about the same color. I'm going to add a little shading. Even when I'm doing little baby drawings like this, I still do shading. So we're going to go around along the hairline. And then her neck. And then around her sleeve. And kind of the underside of her arm. And along
her sleeve here, and again on the underside of her hands. And remember, I said it kind of melded in with each other when we add a little water. So I am gonna get just a wet paintbrush, and I'm just gonna run it over this area. I think there's some ink that is in my brush because it's making a really, oh yeah, this brush is filthy. Lovely. Whoops, so there was some like black or gray ink in my brush already. That's go figure. Make sure your brush is really clean. And then you can blend these two together a little bit better than I'm doing. So I'm just running a wet, just water, and I'm just running it over the two lines, and they kind of blend together. This arm is a completely different skin tone than the other one because of my dirty brush, but this just gives it a little dimension so she's not super flat. All right, that's her skin tone. Let's see her jeans. I will make her jeans or her pants pink. Remember, I want her to kind of jump out. Ooh, look at that fun pink green, and that is the same green of paint that I chose. So again, Tombos are like a super quick, and I also, you actually don't even have to do anything with water if you don't want to. You can just do it all dry and be done. I'm going to do a light green on one side and then a darker green on this side. And then I will run them together again with my brush. Ooh, is this even darker? That is. So let's see if I use water again. Just water. And then I can, ooh, see how it activates. I like it, gives it like a painterly look, even though it's not even paint. So that's kind of cool. And that's what I was going for. It's kind of paint cheating. But yeah, watercolor markers are tons of fun. But you can do this same effect with watercolor pencils. Anything that activates with water is just called being water soluble. And there's a tons of products that this works with. Tons and tons. So I love that super painterly. Again, you can only get that look with these little watercolor markers. I could have even colored it less and then have even more of a painterly look. All right, so see now she's gonna be nice bright green, kind of jumping off the page. We want her front and center. So let's see, we have her apron or her smock, and then we also have her shirt. So again, I would choose colors that are in the same color family. I might do the smock like a brown, and then we'll do her shirt like that pinky. And let's see, this is good. Oh, that is like fluorescent. That might be a little too pinky. What is this one? There we go. So super quick. So I will do kind of the first in pink, and then what I'll do is I will do like a red along the bottom, just like we did with the vase. I'm gonna put some red in these spaces along the apron or the smock. And then I'll use the water to kind of pull it this way. But I want it to be more of a red than a pink, so I'm just gonna color that much in. And then again, I'm using just the water in my brush to mix them together. I'm like, come on, red. So I'm getting the red wet and then I'm pulling it this way. Come on, red. Okay, she looks a little Christmassy. Hadn't really thought about that. Oh, so funny. Don't worry about going out of lines. We're gonna cut her out, remember? So again, I'm putting the water where these two colors come together, and it just gets them all blended. Just blends them together. Simple as that. All right, she's looking super sassy. Now we just have her hair, aprons, oh, and her cute little shoes too. We'll give her that same. Her shoes can be pink. Pink shoes. Oh yeah, she would need some skin tone down here, wouldn't she? Skin. Skin. And we have our darker brown. Okay. All right. And again, I'll just wet the little feetsies to blend. Just like that. That's it. Okay, and maybe in the next video and we'll do her apron and her hair. Let's do her hair and her apron. Let's see, her hair, I think we can just do shades of brown. So I'm just gonna do some sweepy up colors, and then we'll mix in some darker colors. So this is still working from the skin tone set. Here's a darker color. And remember, the water does the fun part. So it's so fun because you don't even have to color everything all the way. It just it actually kind of does it for you. So this is the dark brown and the medium brown, and then again I'm just going to take the water and blend them together. These watercolor markers are super fun because it gives you control when you normally would have none with the watercolor itself. And there's a lot of different brands and price points for watercolor markers as well. There's a fine art brand that are light fast. Tombos are not light fast, but they're a heck of a lot of fun. And they're affordable. And they come in a bazillion colors, so check, check, and check. But just know that sometimes that is a concern. Like if you were gonna sell this piece, I wouldn't recommend Tombos, they can fade. But if you're just doing this for fun, then Tombos are super duper fun and where it's at. All right, so for her apron, trying to think, I do want it to show up. So yeah, I think I will make it brown and kind of like her hair. Like, I like it painterly. I wonder if I even just do one side, if that's enough so I can take water and just, you know, pull it across. Whee! So I'm just dousing this with water. Oh yeah, see how lovely that effect is? Now just be careful of your other colors because it can activate the pink again. I just touched it, so just be careful. It's very reactive. So fun. All right, so again, I like that little painterly look. And you can also do another coat. You can do another layer if we want to, if we decide. Kind of making this streaky mess. All right. All right, now we have the laborious task of, well, I gotta give her some lipstick too. Just red lips. We have to give the laborious task of cutting her out. I am not gonna film that part because holy boring. But what I am gonna do is cut her out. So cut all the way around her, okay? And yeah, not gonna be filming this part because that's torture. All right, so now we're gonna take some scissors and cut her out. It's gonna take a while, so relax, get into it, put some music on. You can use like a little X-Acto knife for this inside part, but just go slowly and carefully until she's all cut up, and I will meet you back here in a minute. Cutting that girl out is probably the hardest part of this entire, it is the hardest part of this entire project. All right, so as you can see, when I lay her over here, she blends into the background just a little bit too much. So this is where we grab the paints that we picked out earlier that will match. You can also use white gesso for this, 100%. So you can either use, again, one of the colors that matches the background or white gesso. White gesso is awesome because it is transparent. So it doesn't cover quite as like wholeheartedly as acrylic paints do. So I'm using acrylic paint, so I'm just gonna put mine on a little bit more sparingly, and I'm gonna use a sponge. You can use anything to apply the paint. You can use a paintbrush. You can use a credit card is a real trendy thing to kind of scrape on some color. Lately, I've just been enjoying, I've been doing a lot of sponge paintings. Sounds strange, I know, but I just have. So what I'm gonna do is, I like it because I can control the transparency and I can kind of put it on lightly. So this is, gesso is great. White gesso is a great mixed media tool because it is transparent, like I said. So you can use that. And if you're used to doing mixed media work, you probably have that in your arsenal as well. It's another great way too. In case you're using those dark papers like I was showing you before, then white gesso is the perfect thing for you to be stamping down because it will really help kind of put the background in place so that your girl can stand out more. So this is where, like, where there's spots where you can see the wood of the canvas, I'm kind of covering that up a little bit more. And if you notice, I'm putting it on really sparingly because I love the background and I want to still be able to see it. But I'm just what I call kind of knocking it back, putting it back into its place so it's not taking over the whole entire thing. But we're gonna put her here, so I almost want it to be a little bit more faded. So when I put her on top, she'll stand out a lot more, but we can still see it. Does that make sense? All right, so yeah, so just putting a little bit of, my sponge is dry, by the way. And I love this because you can really control how much goes on. And because I'm choosing a color that blends well with my background, it becomes like a rather seamless background. So again, where there's a white showing, not white, where there's wood showing through, that is what I'm going to kind of be like, cover it up. Like, there's no wood here. I see no wood. What are you talking about wood? There's no wood. I collaged everywhere. Didn't miss any places. What? No way. So, yeah, super easy. No skills required. I almost said required, but turns out that's not a word. But it just like evens out. It makes the puts the background in its place, shall we say. So it doesn't take over. The background is not the point. The point is our girl. She's becoming a mixed media mistress, a mixed media magician. So many mixed media maestro. There's so many things that she is. But the background is, we want to make sure that that background gets put in its place. So now when I hold her up, we should be able to see her a lot better. But again, we can still see the background. So it's kind of a win-win, people. We also are gonna have like big paint splatters, and we want those to show up as well. But it doesn't mean we can't have a really pretty background rocking. You know what I'm saying? And also notice I haven't used all the other colors. I bring out the colors so I'm kind of armed and ready to use the color I want. But we could have used any of these colors, but I also want to be stamping some words on it. So I would rather have it be lighter in the background than dark. But you could have a dark background, and then when it comes to stamping, you can just make a little area whiter with either white gesso or a light color paint like this, and then stamp the words in that space. All right, so I'm gonna let this dry. While I'm doing that, because we need to glue her on, and the glue is wet, and it might activate some of the Tombow marker that I have here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take an acrylic spray sealer, and you should definitely have some of this in your arsenal. I actually coat all my pieces with this at the end. See how it says acrylic spray sealer? This is your best little friend. It comes in all sorts of different brands. Clear acrylic sealer. I'm gonna take her outside and spray her, because that way I can get her goopy with wet glue later, and it's not gonna disrupt the fun little watercolory look that we still have, and we can still work on top. All right, so I'm gonna take her outside, spray her, and then let that dry, and I'll be right back. This is all dry, she's been sprayed. Now it's time to glue her on. You can use any adhesive you want to, as long as it dries clear. You can use Mod Podge, you can use PVC glue, you can use a gel medium. What's hard about her is that because it's on watercolor paper, she's got some pokey places that are not gonna wanna lay down. I'm gonna be using this Wellbond glue because it's super powerful and it dries crystal clear. But before we glue, I just want to go over one more time the stages of the hamburger system to show you where we are. So we did the collage and the adhesive, right? That was the layer one. We did the collage and I used matte medium. You might have used something else. And then we just did this layer two, which is the acrylic paint, right? So that's the acrylic paint that I sponged on the background to kind of knock it back. And then layer three, we also did, this is where on the girl we did the coloring in with the Tombows that I'm holding. So that layer three, we could have also done on here. So if there was any kind of writing, or we're gonna stamp last. When I stamp, I always stamp last, but we could stamp now, you really could. So this is where we are, layer three. So we're gonna glue her on, okay? And then when that's glued, we're gonna paint some more. So before you get to the ceiling part, which we will do, you can kind of work in here as you please. You can add more paper and collage and glue things down. You could keep painting. You could keep working on items. And then as soon as we do layer 4, which is the sealant, then it's not a good idea to go back and do any of those things. So we're gonna keep working as much as we want, and this is gonna be super quick. Then we seal, and then we can do some details with some permanent markers. So this is just the gluing stage. I'm excited to use this glue. I don't know why it makes me laugh, but it does. I think it's because I know how permanent it is. So I'm gonna use a sponge. Oh, actually, you know what? I might use I think I have some Q-tips actually on my table. I do, which is really random. I had them for something else. This is water cleanup, so you could also use like a brush and brush it on. I'm using it again because she has some like stubborn parts, but I have used this glue as, you can use any glue. Remember, any glue, as long as it dries clear. I just really love this glue because it's so sturdy. Oh, here we go. I'm like, and it's not coming out. I haven't used this in a long time. Let me actually just, oh yeah. Let's get to it another way, shall we? Just open her up. And I like it because it's nice and thick. And again, it dries clear. So another glue that I like to use is spray adhesive. That works awesome as well, and it dries like super fast. So probably matte medium wouldn't work. It's too thin. It's not going to give that nice, meaty, strong hold because it's so liquidy. So I'm gonna use this, and it's good to get all of the tips of her hair. Those are going to be those things that are going to want to pop up. This is super gross, but it's going to be super awesome. And then after this, you need to find an old paintbrush that you can sacrifice to glue on our canvas as well. This Q-tip is disgusting. Whee! But again, I also am using this because I know I can paint over it if I need to. All right, make sure all my little edges are coated. Gross. See, like her little elbow here is never going to want to stick on. It's funny. I use this glue specifically for the trouble areas, and then I proceed to not put glue on those areas. Karen, it's the whole point of using this glue. Just get sure it's on all those little corners. So I'm gonna, oh, now she's really angry. Look at how bendy she is. So I'm gonna put her over here because we need room for the paintbrush and our quote too. We have a lot to go on here. All right, so yeah, that glue is really strong, which I need to pull her down because she's feisty. Okay, so now we can kind of lay out where things are gonna go. So I'm gonna take a few minutes and make sure she's solid on here. Might be a good idea to put a book or something down too. Make sure she's really good and stuck. And the layer 4 is going to help a lot with this too. And that's when you seal on top of it. And that will also help her adhere properly. No problem. I can hear where she wants to lift up. I'm like, no, you could pick down there. We're actually not too far from being done. And then we also are going to put down our paintbrush. So I know it looks like I'm sacrificing a brand new brush. I actually have oodles of brushes, and I was toying with the idea of doing like a long one, which actually looks really cool too. Well, maybe I will do that one. You know, go big or go home. We could even have it kind of coming off the palette. But I like that this is shot. This is totally shot. So we have a few choices. Oh, this is broken too, so perfect. We can make the paintbrush all like paint it and make it all perfect and put it on here, but I actually almost like that it's really rugged and really used. Kind of looks more like authentic that way, because she's obviously clearly very realistic, right? So yeah, there's really no wrong answers here. But what we'll do is we're gonna glue, I might just use a glue gun and glue this on, and then we're going to have paint drips going around, and we can carve off any little flaps of paper that we don't want. But first things first, we gotta glue it down. I can also use this same glue to glue this on, but I'm just gonna sit here and deliberate if I wanna actually paint and fix up this paintbrush or use it kind of the ruggy look that it is looking right now. Let me have a moment to deliberate, and then I will be back. Okay, after much deliberation, I decided I'm gonna plunk it just like this. I actually love that it chops across this. It almost like accentuates the fact that that's there. I also noticed, so you might just wanna be aware of this too, that my paintbrush only touches down in like one spot, like just around right here, actually right where her hand is. It's really kind of crazy. It's sort of like off everywhere else. So just keep that in mind. So what I did is I kind of, like right now when it's tilted, it's not touching anywhere on the canvas. So you have to kind of keep your eyeballs peeled as to where that contact point is going to be. Oh, I kind of like that too. But I actually kind of like that it's chopped. And you could also have it coming, honestly guys, there's no wrong way to do this. It's just for fun. That might be tilted too close to her. All right, so honestly, the most important part is finding that contact location on her. Taking my nasty wadded up Q-tip. To do this. And again, that's just need to put it in the right place, which I'm really bad at finding apparently. Putting a nice big blob of glue down. And we just need to make sure that it makes contact, which I think it does. Yeah. And it is tilty, but honestly, it does not matter. I'm just gonna shove some glue this way. And shove, I remember this, again, I've tested this glue before, so I know that it dries clear. And then I'm just gonna wipe away. And again, you can do the same thing with Mod Podge, like any glue that dries clear. This is fine. And I'm just gonna leave it there to dry. And in the meantime, we're gonna keep futzing. All right. So this is just a fine liner pen, and I'm just going to outline her so we can see her a little bit better. This is a 1 millimeter, which is probably a little thick, but it doesn't matter. Just going along the edges, sketchy, sloppily, but it'll help make her stand out a little bit. It's also cool because it kind of hides your mistakes, like if you have a rough cut, which I sure do, you can kind of just scribble over it. You just want to make sure that whatever fine liner or marker that you use, it's not going to react with water. Let's see if she's not sticking right there. There's her little pocket. So all of this just gets an outline. Very straightforward. If accidentally you were using something that was water reactive, you could spray her again with the spray sealer before we add the brush sealer. That is always a choice. I probably will switch to a finer nib when I do her facial features, but her hair we can do this nice chunky one. Give her some streaks. Now I'm going to switch to like a, what is this? I want like a real little, oh, there's a 0.3. Her little nose and her mouth. She looks a little bit like a chipmunk. No worries. Oh my gosh, so cute. And then our paint brush will be drying. And if you want to know, if you need to test your, if what you are using to use the fine liner on, definitely take a moment, grab a sheet of, I'm trying to find some scrap watercolor paper myself. Oh man, I can only find my good stuff. It's good to have like a crappy test paper around, but just test it first. So here was that fine liner. Oh, I can't believe I'm doing this on my nice watercolor paper. Here's another one. So just to double check. Oh, see, that's super reactive. And that one is not. So, which one did I do first? Oh, okay. So, the one that I used on her face is reactive. Great. That's, oh no, that was fun. Okay. So, I won't be able to use a brush sealer on here. See, this is why we test, because it will activate. So, I will be using the spray sealer on her first. Again, before we do the layer 4, which is the brush on sealer. So always test, and then test some more, but we're not quite there yet. All right, so now this is the fun part. This is, we're gonna do the quote, and then we're also gonna put the paint around her. Yeah, we're actually almost close to being done. So, all right, so we have to figure out what we're gonna write. I think I'm gonna write like mixed media, either mixologist, because that was your results for your quiz, that's what you are, or we can do mixed media mistress, which I kind of like, or we could do mixed media magician, but I'm going to use this space right here. If your background is still really, if it's still really bold and you don't think you're going to be able to see that, go ahead and take some white gesso, and in my case I'm just going to use that light paint again, and just go over that area that you're going to be stamping a little more, just make the background a little bit more covered up so that we'll know that the words are going to stamp on and we'll be able to see them. So I'm going to do it right up in here. Now you can handwrite this in paint pens. I have terrible handwriting, so I always stamp my words. So I'm going to go ahead and see how that's a little bit more opaque, so when I go to stamp, but I can again still see the background. So I'm going to dry that. I'm going to go grab my stamp set and we're going to stamp that right there, okay? And then we're going to paint some fun little drippies, and then we'll seal it and we'll pretty much be done. All right, I'm going to go get my stamp set. Now's the exciting part where we go to stamp. Now when I stamp, I like my stamps to be kind of wonky and whimsical. So I don't bother and don't like to make sure everything is neat and clean. I like it when it's really wonky, so I kind of purposefully don't plan out where they're gonna go. This is really boring to watch, so feel free to fast forward this part. But I'm gonna do mixed media. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Mixologist. Hopefully this is juicy. Okay. Oh, yes. Okay. X. I probably have never used the X. No, I guess I have. Which way is up? I don't know. Mixed. Ooh, I'm so excited. Mixed. My M back again. I kind of like it when there's 2 rows, and then it'll be 3. Mixed me. Where's that D? See how wonky that is? I love it. Mixed media. I collect stamps, stamp sets everywhere I see them, so I don't actually have a link to this set individually. But if you go to Etsy, if you go to Amazon, you can find all sorts of cute fonts. Mixologists. Oh gosh, G, where's the G? G, where are you? Where are you, G? Watch there be no G. Where's the G? It's like my biggest fear is not finding a letter. You know, oh, there it is. Solo. Where's the S? And last but not least, the T. Where's the T? Yeah, that might be an upside down F. I'm not sure. Oh no, that one is. All right, Mixed Media Mixologist. And if your letters are too light and it's bothering you, you can like go with a fine liner and like, you know, fill in any of the weaker letters. Like my T was really weak. All right, so we have our stamp. Now we're gonna have the little paint drippies around. So I'm gonna squirt out some of the original colors that I picked out, but we haven't even used yet. And we're gonna make like paint blotches around. I'm I'm gonna paint the paintbrush like tips as if it was being painted. Where's my green? So again, we're just staying inside the color palette, and we're just gonna repeat the colors. It's just the easiest way to make sure everything is matching. Ugh, this is my globbity gluck. Got globbity glub all over my fingers. My hands, yuck. Okie doke. So I think we should have little like splooges around, you know, like a little, as if there was actual paint blobs going around the canvas. You know what I mean. So we could do one over here, you know, as if it's like a puddle. We're just gonna do kind of blobby shapes around. Like it's a quote-unquote real palette, although as we know it is actually a real palette. Oh, and I'll grab some pink too. You're gonna need lots of pink brushes for this one. Okay, so that was one puddle. We could have, let's see, we could do the green one up here. Again, we're just going to repeat the colors. This is not very opaque, so we might need to do more than one coat for that green. Just washing and drying my brush. And we'll have the brown. You can do the brown puddle down here. I think we need a pink. We need a pink one too. Let me go grab a pink from my gigantic stash. We have light pink. We have magenta. Let's see which ones make the most sense. Let's see, probably this one would show up better. Washing and drying my brush. Let's see, we could do a little puddle here. Notice I'm not really spending much time thinking about the shapes. I'm just making them kind of organic-y blobs. Oh heavens, this is so cute. It's so cute. And we can also have some, we could like paint the tips of the brush itself, get some paint on there. So it looks super realistic. So we could have that. And then we could even have like, almost like it's dripping off, right? Shoop. Dripping. Super creative. Shoop. Oh yes, so fun. All right, so cool. So you can get really carried away with this step if you want to, right? You could put like as many things around here as you like. You can do more colors. We could do a dark brown, would still look cute, super cute. I'm gonna do that. I think that would look cute. You could do a white, basically anything that would show up against your background. You can and should do. I'm gonna get some dark raw umber, kind of matches her hair. I'm using way too much paint in all of these things. So we can do that maybe over here. could do black as well. Black matches everything. And we could also, ooh, I don't like that shape. We could also have little drips in different places as well. Oh, see, I don't like that one. But maybe we put another one. No, we can always swish like a lighter color through there. It's a little bit too dark, isn't it? It is. So if that happens and you're not happy with it, what we can do is, I do this all the time, is offset like a darker spot. So for instance, a lot of times, well, maybe I'll do this with the sepia. I take a stamp pad and you can run it around the edges to almost make like a frame. And I do this with black normally, but I'm kind of keep this color palette a little bit lighter today. I don't know why I'm in the mood for that, but I am. So running, ooh, see how it kind of creates like a little bit of a frame. And I'm purposefully dragging this over the collage papers because it picks up that lovely texture. And if I was really like disappointed with that, I could gesso that spot and then just paint another color on top of it. It's actually quite an easy fix. Oh, look at that perfect finger hole I found. Look at that. So yeah, I love that this picks up that texture. So very intentionally doing that. Very intentionally doing that. Especially up here. Kind of sets off the words a little bit as well. So, oh my goodness. So I'm gonna take a hair dryer and dry this. And we also need to put a second coat on this green. So that makes it real punchy. So it really stands out a little bit. Same thing. Can put another coat on this brown down here. And then I'm going to dry it with my hair dryer and then spray it again with that spray sealer. Okay, so I'm going to dry this with my hair dryer. And again, you can put like another blob around if you want to. All right, so I'm going to dry this with my hair dryer again and then spray this whole thing with that acrylic spray sealer, and I'll be back. I added one in the middle here because it was looking very empty and sad. So if you need to do like 2 coats anywhere, now's the time. Kind of all of my paints, to be honest, can use 2 coats. And be creative at this point. If you want to do more drippies, we could do more drippies of a different color somewhere. Like we could absolutely like carry this whole theme and have more blopping off. It's really sky's the limits. So once this layer is dry, once I used the Mod Podge spray sealer again, once all these layers are dry, I am going to take Mod Podge and coat the entire thing. And this brings us up to layer 4, which is the sealer layer. And there's a lot of products you can use here. You can use this same glue. I've tested many different things. As long as it is, again, a sealer and it dries clear, that's awesome. I did spray her with the spray sealer, but what I like about the brush-on sealer is that it really gets into all these nooks and crannies. It will get into all these little places that are lifted and aren't adhered properly. And because I spray this with a sealer, none of the black should activate and smear. It might though still, so just be forewarned. Just go slowly. I use a brush, what's it called? A brush, foam brush, to apply this layer. You can also use different mediums, like liquid medium or gel medium. Mod Podge is just kind of like readily available. But I love how it seals everything up. So I'm gonna grab a foam brush, and I'm just gonna coat the whole thing nicely. Where did my foam brushes run away to? They're not in my studio. Oh, they're right behind me. I already got them out. I'm at that part where I'm like, where is everything? Crazy. I'm just gonna dry this for 1 second. And then this is, again, this is just matte. But as I brush it over, especially like I love that it gets in all these nook and crannies. We're gonna do the whole canvas. This dries clear. And yes, I put it everywhere. Very purposefully everywhere. And because I sealed her a couple times with the spray sealer, you shouldn't have any bleed. Oh, see, there's a little bit of bleed. Don't freak out. It's okay. Just take your foam brush and smooth it out. Almost like hitting the sides more than herself. Because I want to get it in all these nooks and crannies so that she never comes off. But yes, be prepared for there to be some bleed. But hopefully because you've sprayed it, there's not too much. And then before I move on to the other half, I'm just gonna make sure that I got her everywhere. Yep, I think so. And then I just continue over this side. So this is so good. It shores up all the layers underneath it. Dries totally clear. Very easy. Dries quickly too. So after this, I will shoot it with my hairdryer, and then we can just do any finishing touches we want on top. Usually I go in with some Pitt pens. You can use paint markers, work perfect on top as well. And then just like add any details that we want to. Yeah. So there we go. All right, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna dry this and I will be right back. We are pretty much finishing up right now. So this is, all right, so we just did layer 4, right? Which is the Mod Podge sealant layer. And then now it's really fun to do details with paint markers or Pitt pens, or you could use India ink with a brush pen. So these are great pens because they are filled with, an acrylic, no, sorry, a pigment ink, India ink, and it works really nicely over. We're gonna give her a little shadow here. And you can use your finger to kind of smudge it. So it's India ink, so India ink is also found in like PH Martin's ink bottles. You can apply it with like a brush if you want to do that. If you can't get a hold of Pitt pens, think they've discontinued the big fat ones, but they still have the small ones widely available. So they're great because they come in a whole bunch of colors. So like I can put it on and then I can kind of smear it with my finger. So this is like a dark green, so to add shading, like this is her back leg, I can put it on and then I just honestly smear it with my finger. And then I kind of have these, I think these would actually look better if they were kind of outlined. I am an outliner. You might not be an outliner, and guess what? It doesn't matter. You can be one or not one, and it's all good in mixed media worlds. I just like it when things are outlined, so I'm using a black. Just helps us kind of see everything. We could also outline these in like the colors that they are. But I want this to have kind of like a cartoony graphic look. And it's so much easier. Oh, you can also, again, you can use paint pens for this. It's also easier to do this with a marker than a brush. At least I think so. And the cool part about this too is that because there's a sealer underneath it, if you make a mistake, you can actually go ahead and just wipe off this layer a lot of times. Just going around these. Oh yeah, that looks nice. Shoop. So get creative. You want to do little drippies, go for it. But this is, in essence, my hamburger mixed media process, which I love using because it gives you success every time. And I have, oh my gosh, in my Mixed Media Society art club, I have over 24 totally different projects, but all using this same exact layering system, which is kind of neat. So boom, there we go. We could even add some little, you know, like paint lines, swirls. And oh my goodness. All right, friends. Well, this is our very own mixed media mixologist masterpiece, if you will. I feel like we just did all that outlining in black, so that I think this should also be outlined in black. And the easiest way to do that is, again, this fun, quick little cheat way of just running that stamp pad over everything very, very quickly. Careful of your brush, just gives it a nice outline. But oh my gosh, I hope you had so much fun. And then the last but not least, layer 6 is also, we can, any marks that you made, we can, oh, you know what else we need to do? We need to add some white highlights. Any marks that you made or anything, any new layers you added, you can just simply seal it again. So here I'm gonna add some, we'll add some white highlights. Oh, this one is a little, oh, that's a little bit much. We don't want that. We'll put some in the paint. Just kind of have like a shiny side and then a dull side. All right, so that's just our highlighted areas, just a little bit of paint, so it's kind of shiny in there. And I'm gonna keep it out of her hair because that didn't look very good when I put it in there, but I was able to wipe it right off. All right, our masterpiece has finished. Yay, good job. My gosh, could you please email me and show me or put them in the Facebook group? I would love to see. You're super invited to join my Facebook group. Ooh, now I feel like I need a little, might need to add a little splooger-wooger over here. Just a little drip. Yeah, don't you see this empty space? It's It's calling me. But we could put a little drip right there. Oh, I'm gonna do it. But yeah, I would love, love, love to see this, and I would love to see if you liked it or not. So reply back to this email and let me know what you thought. I'm gonna have it this color dripping down. Yes. I'll need to do a couple coats there because my paintbrush is wet and it's very not opaque. Oh yes. Oh my gosh, so fun. We're gonna have a little drippy there. And we can also have a little drippy here. Notice I'm doing it in the lighter color because I don't really necessarily want to take away from all the other stuff that we have done. So lighter color, it's like you're adding more, but you're not getting so crazy that it kind of like messes up. So I'm gonna do a couple coats in that and then do the same thing where we outline it. Oh yeah, that looks good. I'm glad we added in those little dead spaces. Again, you can paint over Mod Podge, but it's better if you don't. So normally try to get your layers in before we seal because Mod Podge is like a plastic surface. Paint sometimes can peel off, but that's also why layer 6 is to seal it again. Okay, so I will be doing that. And here, I'll just make sure we finish this all up together. So rather than saying goodbye, let's really, really wrap this up. So I'm gonna dry those, do a second coat, seal, outline, and do them just the same way. So I did those paint blobs again. This is step 6, layer 6. Sorry, I realized I was leaving you, but then I wasn't actually showing you everything to completion, which I figured we can't go all this far together and not just, show you that I really am just finishing up the way that I said. I had some parts of paint there that were not dry, so they just clumped up. Okay. So again, this is layer 6 of the hamburger. And these projects become like set in stone forever, which is good. After they get all layered up and sealed. Step 7 is finisher layer. And there's a lot of different options for finishers. You can do glossy, you can do matte. You can stop with the Mod Podge. It's entirely up to you, but I like to use a true finisher. Usually I tend to do like a fine art product. There's spray finishes. There's a lot of options, just like there's a lot of sealer options and a lot of glue options as well. When I want something to be really shiny, I will use a brush gloss finish, and I want it to be matte. I generally will do like a spray. So again, I'm gonna dry this with my hair dryer, and then I'll just outline those, and then I'll show you the finisher that I would use. So I did dry that, and I'm gonna treat these drips the same as the other ones, so the look is consistent. When the Mod Podge isn't really dry yet, I'm like painting over a glob. There's like just a thin layer enough that I won't penetrate the bubble of liquid sealant underneath. All right, woo, so fun. You could really go gangbusters with all those drips. So if I wanted this to be a really glossy surface, this is my favorite topper, and I would just brush it on with a foam brush. Normally, like all my journal pages and everything, I usually use, again, that same acrylic sealer, which is also a finisher. Just make sure you're looking for that finisher word in there, and that tells you that it's appropriate for, oh my gosh, look how fun our palette is. It's so fun. This is a ridiculous amount of fun. Look at that. Yay! Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see yours. Make sure you email me and I want to see. That looks amazing. This is crazy fun. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I had an absolute blast. I will talk to you soon.
I hope that you enjoyed this really fun, free lesson. Keep your eyes peeled on your inbox. I'm a kind of a giver, and my love language are art videos. So I will be sending you some more fun things in your inbox. So check your emails and reply back to mine, to this one, and let me know how your project went. Attach a picture so I can see. I would love to see your colors, your papers. If you struggled with anything, if you need help with anything, you can also reply back and ask me questions. I'm here for you, and I can't wait to see your mixed media mixologist paint palette creations. Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, bye.